Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Noah here, taking a first look at the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Thursday, November the 21st. We've only got a two-gamer today, so it's going to be a pretty quick video. We're still going to run through each position, hit on this two-game slate, talk about the guys I like at each position. I'll still build out my core 5 players. These are 5 players that I see the night before, specifically for Draftkings pricing, and then we'll do a 5 plays for Yahoo as well. We'll touch on Draftkings and Yahoo position by position. I'll hit on DK, then we'll switch over to Yahoo, and then we'll just keep going back and forth. Just a few things, guys, before we do get started. As always, I would greatly appreciate it if you would drop a like down below. If you are new to the channel and you have not subscribed yet, make sure you click that subscribe button as well. Be sure to click the notification bell so that way you get notified every time I upload. And you can follow me on Twitter, at DFS by Noah, link down in the description. I am very active over on Twitter. You can always hit me up on Twitter. You can DM me. I'm very active, so feel free to give me a follow over there. But let's take a look at this two-game slate for today. It is a two-game slate, so these are slates I usually play very, very light. I don't play for much volume. I play for literally 10% of what I normally play. I put down on a two-game slate. So I don't plan on playing much today. I'm still going to have some volume in play, though. I will probably be getting some action down for that Thursday Night Football showdown slate. So if you guys are planning to play the Thursday Night Football showdown slate, I think it's the Colts and the Texans playing on Thursday night. I do have a video already up on the channel going over that showdown slate. So if you want to check that video out, you definitely can. But let's take a look at point guard for today. We do already have some injury news at this position that we've already gotten word on. That's Damian Lillard. He's not going to play today. He's going to be out. There still are some questionable guys we have to wait and see on heading into Thursday that are really going to impact the slate. So as of Wednesday night, Hassan Whiteside is questionable. Derek Favors is out. Ricky Rubio is doubtful. The two big ones, though, or mainly the big ones, are Whiteside questionable, Lonzo Ball questionable, and ANFERNEE Simmons is also questionable as well. So those are three pretty big injuries that are going to really impact the slate. I'll definitely talk about if those guys are out, who I think we should be playing. If those guys play, do I like them at all? But starting off at the point guard position on DraftKings, you got Booker, Holiday, 85, 8,200. I think Devin Booker is definitely a good play here against the Pelicans. This is a great matchup for Devin Booker. He's playing without Ricky Rubio, and with Ricky Rubio off the floor, Devin Booker does see a pretty big bump in usage. We can pull up the Suns' usage so far this season with Rubio off. We can take DeAndre Ayton off the floor as well because we know DeAndre Ayton is not going to be playing today. Pretty much the two big beneficiaries here with Rubio off the floor are Devin Booker and Kelly Oubre. Just looking at Booker's usage, 185 minutes played with Rubio and Ayton off the floor, 31.8% usage rate, averaging 1.24 fantasy points per minute. And then if we look at Kelly Oubre, 133.5 minutes played, 25.9% usage rate, 1.2 fantasy points per minute. So those are going to be the two guys we want to key in on from the Suns. If I'm going to pay up at point guard, I do like Devin Booker the most here. This is definitely a slate, though, where I'm probably going to be trying to play Giannis. I mean, I don't know why Giannis is 10,600 on DraftKings. It's a two-game slate. Giannis should be like 12, 5, 13K. DraftKings should have made him very expensive and actually give people a choice of whether they should play Giannis or not. I mean, at 10,600, I feel like you just jam in Giannis, take the 65, 70 points he's going to give you, and then figure out your lineup elsewhere. I'll be jamming in Giannis on both sides. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get Booker in there as well, but I do like this matchup a lot for Devin Booker. I like that Rubio's going to be out. That's a big boost for Devin Booker. Choosing between him and Holiday, I would definitely side with Booker. But I think CJ McCollum is the guy that I want to go to at this position. He's 7,500 on DraftKings. He's going to be a core play for me today with Damian Lillard out. If we go over to the shooting guard position on Yahoo, that's where CJ McCollum is. And just looking at the shooting guard position, you have Jrue Holiday at 37, Booker at 35, and then McCollum at 30. Between those three guys, I definitely like McCollum the most at $30. I think it is pretty close, though, between him and Booker. Booker at 35, I do like quite a bit as well. But CJ McCollum's numbers with Damian Lillard off the floor are obviously one of the reasons why he's one of the top plays on the slate. We'll pull up the usage for the Trailblazers this season just so you guys can see. I mean, if you've been playing DFS for a while, just for the last few years, you know that whenever Damian Lillard is out, CJ McCollum is just the guy you play. If I can find Damian Lillard on the list, Jesus Christ, I can't even find him. There he is. Okay, we'll take Lillard off the floor just so you guys can see the bumps that McCollum gets, especially this season and then even going back to last season. So this season, CJ McCollum, 124 minutes played with Damian Lillard off the floor, 27.9% usage rate, 1.05 fantasy points per minute. If we look at the differential, Just looking at his differential, that's a plus almost 2% bump in usage, plus 0.14 bump in his fantasy points per minute. And we can even go back to last season just so you can see that as well. Just so you can see the difference. I mean, last season it was the same for CJ McCollum as well. Saw a big boost with Damian Lillard off the floor. So last season with Lillard off the floor, CJ played 321 minutes, had a 30.7% usage rate. So clearly CJ McCollum is the guy that we want to go to here. It's a pace-up spot for them. I mean, this is like a fast-paced game just in general. You have two of the top 10 teams in pace. Portland ranks 10th. Milwaukee's leading the league in pace this season. So love CJ McCollum here. He's going to play big minutes as long as the game can stay competitive, which I think it can. Last game against the Pelicans with Lillard out, you got 35 minutes from CJ, 42 DraftKings points. He took 22 field goal attempts in that game. Only shot 40% from the field, so if you get CJ knocking down more shots, like if he knocks down 50% of his shots, he's probably easily putting up 50 DraftKings points because we know the shot volume is going to be there because they really have no one else for offense. So I like CJ McCollum a ton. He's definitely one of my favorite plays at the point guard position. Then you have Eric Bledsoe at 6,800, who I think is firmly in play. I don't think Bledsoe is going to be a core play for me today, but I do like him quite a bit, and if I was making multiple lineups, obviously I would have exposure to Eric Bledsoe. If I'm only making one lineup, I don't know if Bledsoe makes the cut. I don't think he's going to be a guy I try and jam in, especially if Lonzo plays. I mean, if Lonzo plays for only 5K in a matchup against the Suns, especially with Ricky Rubio out, who is a really good defender, Lonzo Ball looks like a smash play at only $5,000 on DraftKings. That is if he plays today and he's not limited. This is the last game on the slate. This is the 10:30 game, so hopefully after shoot-around we'll have better word on what Lonzo's status is, if he's going to play or not, if he's going to be limited. If he's in, not limited, I absolutely love Lonzo Ball at 5K. I don't know why he's 5K. I mean, the last slate he played in that he was healthy, he was 6,800. He was 7K in the slate before that. So love Lonzo today if he's in. He's one of my favorite plays on DraftKings for only 5K, but that's some news we're going to have to wait and see on. And then after Lonzo, you have ANFERNEE Simmons at 4,700, who's also questionable heading into the slate. Simmons did start at point guard last game with Damian Lillard out. He played 36 minutes, had 24 DraftKings points. He also shot pretty poorly from the field, just 30%. The minutes are going to be there for Simmons if he's able to go. He's definitely one of the top values at the point guard position. Now, honestly, if Lonzo plays, I really like going to Lonzo at 5K over Simmons, but since we don't know the status of Lonzo, I would say it's more likely Simmons plays than Lonzo plays. I'm going to plug in Simmons right now as the value that I like. I like him a lot as a value on Yahoo as well. It's definitely a lot different over here. I mean, Lonzo's $24 on Yahoo. He's not nearly as good of a play as he is on DraftKings. Simmons, though, at $12 is one of the top values at point guard. I mean, you really only have three options to choose from at point guard on Yahoo because Lillard's out. We know Rubio's most likely not going to play. So that leaves you Eric Bledsoe, Lonzo Ball, and ANFERNEE Simmons as really your only playable options. So Simmons is going to be incredibly popular, but you kind of just have to play him. You really have no one else to choose from, especially if you're playing 2 point guards. I feel like the way to go, though, is probably going to be to play 1 point guard and then play 2 shooting guards. Play, obviously, your shooting guard and then a shooting guard in the guard spot. But Simmons I like a lot as a value, especially if he starts at point guard again, just assuming he plays. So that's kind of where I'm looking to at point guard for today. Like I said, over on Yahoo, I mean, you have Bledsoe, Ball, and Simmons. I'm going to be playing a lot of Simmons if he's able to go. If Simmons is out, then I think you kind of have to play Eric Bledsoe because there's really no one else. Like, I don't even think like guys like Blevins or Purton, these guys wouldn't start if Simmons is out. They would move CJ over to point guard. So if Simmons plays, he's my favorite option at point guard on Yahoo. If he's out, you probably just have to play Eric Bledsoe, I guess, because you have no one else to choose from. So going over to shooting guard now and looking at this position, I've already touched on Booker and Holiday. I think you can play both McCollum and Simmons at shooting guard, so you can play them here. JJ Redick at 5,200, I feel like it's going to be pretty low owned on this slate, relatively low owned, I should say. I mean, he's been playing really well lately. He's been getting up a lot of shots. He's definitely seen more usage with Lonzo off the floor, with Josh Hart off the floor. His minutes are pretty secure with Josh Hart out. We know he's going to play probably anywhere from like mid to low 30s in minutes. He's always a guy that's pretty risky because you just never know what you're going to get from JJ Redick, especially if he's not making his shots. But this game should be played at a pretty fast pace. Both of these games on this 2-game slate should be pretty fast paced and should be high scoring. I do like JJ Redick a lot as a tournament play. I don't think many people are going to go to him. He definitely isn't one of the guys that like stands out on this 2-game slate. So you could definitely play him in tournaments. For value, though, under 5K, I mean, if Simmons is out, you should probably see guys like Kent Bazemore, Rodney Hood pick up more minutes. So they would definitely be in play as values. I don't really want to go to NAW or Etwan Moore. I don't really have much interest in these guys. I mean, since moving back to the bench, these guys just aren't getting a ton of minutes. With Brandon Ingram healthy last game, you saw NAW lose a lot of minutes, only played 16 minutes. So I think he definitely takes a big hit with Ingram healthy now. So there's really no like cheap values that I love at shooting guard. I think you're either playing Booker, Holiday, Redick, Simmons, or McCollum. And if Simmons out, that definitely puts Bazemore and Rodney Hood into play for cheap values. For over on Yahoo at shooting guard, you really only have about 5 options here. You got Holiday, Booker, McCollum, Redick, and then Kent Bazemore. I'm probably not going to be playing NAW at $11 just because his minutes are going to start to trend down now that the Pelicans are starting to get healthy. There's no $10 shooting guards I really like on Yahoo. Maybe Gary Trent, if he draws the start, if Simmons is out, could be a value. But at shooting guard, I'm probably going to be playing a ton of CJ McCollum here. I definitely like Devin Booker at $35. I do prefer him over Drew Holiday. I feel like a lot of my lineups are probably going to be Simmons at point guard, McCollum at shooting guard, and then Devin Booker in the guard spot. That's probably the route I'm going to be taking. JJ Redick, though, at $12 as a shooting guard value play is for sure an option for me. Just way too cheap. I mean, the guy's giving you 25 to 30 fantasy points literally every game the last 5 games. That's really good value for only $12. So let's go ahead and move on to small forward now. This is a position where I'm just going to be jamming in Giannis at $10,600. He's too cheap. I don't know why he's this cheap. Giannis should like always be over 11K, should be almost 12K most slates. I'm not sure what they got it updated. So on Wednesday night, he was 11,200 against the Hawks. Played 30 minutes and had 56 DraftKings points. Was just overall like a floor game from Giannis. You didn't really get a ceiling game from him. 33 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. Giannis is giving you 50, 55 DraftKings points most nights. And in games where it's competitive and high scoring, you usually get 70, 75 fantasy points from Giannis. I don't need to tell you Giannis is a good play today. You guys already know the numbers, but I'm just going to show them for those that maybe don't know. If we take Chris Middleton off the floor, Giannis averages literally 2 fantasy points per minute. I believe it's just over 2 fantasy points per minute. And we know Chris Middleton's going to remain out for a couple weeks. So the 2 big beneficiaries here are going to be Giannis and Bledsoe. Giannis, we don't want to go to last season, but yeah, last season's numbers: 869 minutes, 33% usage rate, 1.79 fantasy points per minute. Last season with Middleton off the floor. For Eric Bledsoe, 541 minutes played, 26.7% usage rate, 1.22 fantasy points per minute. Now we can look at the difference for this season, so we can see what the difference is. I mean, the numbers are going to look similar, if not better. So Giannis is averaging 1.91 fantasy points per minute, 37% usage rate. Eric Bledsoe, 25% usage rate and 1.18 fantasy points per minute. So Giannis is a great play today. He's probably going to get you at least 55, 60 DraftKings points. He's got the potential for 75 to 80. He's too cheap at $10,600. There's going to be plenty of value on the slate. I think you just play Giannis and don't really think twice about it. Over on Yahoo, he's at power forward. And if we just look at the power forward position, you have Giannis at 57, Brandon Ingram at 39, Dario Saric at 15, Nasir Little at 11, Nikola Melli at 11. And then there's really no one else that I think is playable besides Carmelo Anthony, who you could play at minimum salary. I'm just going to be jamming in Giannis at power forward on Yahoo as well. He's definitely my favorite play over there. But now just looking at other small forwards we have, Brandon Ingram is another guy that I think is way too cheap today on DraftKings at only 7K. He's also going to be a guy I put in the core. Now on Yahoo at $39, I don't think he's like a smash play by any means. I do like him quite a bit. But you do have Booker for $35, who I would rather have for $4 less. I mean, you got CJ McCollum for $9 less. You got Eric Bledsoe for $12 less. So I don't think Brandon Ingram is a must on Yahoo. If you can fit him in, for sure, he's a good option. But I feel like I'm going to probably be paying up for those shooting guards rather than paying up at power forward for Brandon Ingram. I'm going to be playing a lot of Giannis at power forward. And I just don't think I'm going to be able to get to Brandon Ingram. Plus, there's some pretty good value at power forward. Like Nikola Melli's been seeing a lot of good run off the bench with Derek Favors and Okafor out. Assuming Okafor remains out, we already know Favors is going to be out. Nikola Melli as an $11 value at power forward makes a lot of sense. 27, 26, 27 minutes the last 3 games, 28, 25, 36 fantasy points. I think Carmelo Anthony is also firmly in play. I mean, he played 23 minutes in that game against the Pelicans. They said they were going to limit him to 20 minutes, and he played 23. Only had 12 fantasy points, had 10 points, 4 rebounds, 1 block, 5 turnovers. It was not a great game from Carmelo, but this is just a guy on a 2-game slate I want to have exposure to, especially if he's going to be low owned. We know how Carmelo Anthony is. If he is making his shots, he's just going to keep shooting. I mean, I'm not sure exactly how many field goal attempts he took in that game, but I can check real quick. Melo's 3,900 on DraftKings as well, so I think he's in play as a value. He took 14 shots in that game, 28% from the field. He was 2 for 3 from 3. If he makes like even 6 of those 14 shots or even 8 of those 14 shots, if he just makes a few more shots, you're getting a pretty good game from Carmelo at only 3,900. That was a fast-paced game against the Pelicans. This is going to be a fast-paced game against the Bucks. If we get word that Melo can play like close to 30 minutes, at 3,900, it might sound gross, but I think Carmelo Anthony is actually a pretty good value today, especially if like Simmons is out. I mean, the Trailblazers are just so thin on scoring options right now. They're just looking for guys that can score, and Melo, if he's making his shots, he'll just keep shooting. He can score. Even at this point in his career, I think he's a guy that can go out there and just chuck up a ton of shots and make a ton of shots. So I do like Carmelo as a value on both sides, especially if he's going to be somewhat low-owned on this 2-game slate. But then you have Kelly Oubre, 6,700, who I did mention like at the beginning. With Rubio off the floor, Kelly Oubre is one of the biggest beneficiaries along with Devin Booker. Oubre 6,700 on DraftKings. I don't think he's like a must-play on DK, especially because you have Brandon Ingram at 7K, who I would much rather have. If we go over to Yahoo, though, and just look at the small forward position, you really only have like 3 small forwards, maybe 4 that are playable. You got Oubre at $23, KENRICH Williams at $20, DiVincenzo at $11. I probably won't be playing Etuan Moore. Rodney Hood and Hazonia are only going to be in play for me if Simmons is out. Like, Hood's not been doing much lately. Has been playing, I mean, he still plays like 30 minutes a night, but you're just not going to get a ton of upside from Rodney Hood. He has to be making his shots in order like to give you even a decent game. Kind of the same for Mario Hazonia, just the upside's not really there. He's not playing the minutes. I feel like you're just going to be jamming in Kelly Oubre at small forward on Yahoo, really because you have nobody else. If I wasn't playing Oubre at small forward on Yahoo, I would probably just go down to DiVincenzo at $11. DiVincenzo continues to be a pretty good value play, giving you 24 to 28 minutes most nights, putting up 25 to 30 fantasy points most nights. So at $11, you could definitely like him, or go to him, but I would just be jamming in Oubre at $23 if possible, if you can get find a way to get him in. But with how like DraftKings has their positional flexibility, I just take Brandon Ingram for 7K over Oubre for 6,700. But now other small forwards we have, there's really not much I need to touch on else. Like, you have Kendrick Williams at 5,300, who continues to start. I believe he did start at the 4. I'm pretty sure their starting lineup last game, the Pelicans starting lineup last game was Drew at point guard. I think it was Redick at shooting guard, Ingram at small forward, Williams at power forward, and then Hayes at center. I imagine if Lonzo is out again, they probably go with that same starting lineup. So, I mean, you got 34 minutes from Kendrick Williams last game, 33 fantasy points. I think choosing between him and JJ Redick, I would probably side with JJ Redick, but it's pretty close between those two guys. I don't feel like either guy's going to be core plays for me, but obviously, if you're making multiple lineups, you probably get some exposure to them. I would definitely prefer those two guys over Dario Saric for 5K. But then value-wise, I mentioned DiVincenzo on Yahoo at $11, who's definitely in play as a small forward value. On DraftKings, I don't think you really need to go to him. I don't think there's really any great values at small forward besides Carmelo Anthony. If we can get some clarity on how many minutes he's going to play today, if he's going to play like even 25, 28 minutes, 3,900 for Melo on a 2-game slate, I'll definitely take that risk, especially if he comes in somewhat low-owned. Let's go ahead and talk about some power forwards now. This position's kind of the same as what we've hit on. I mean, you got like a lot of guys we've already talked about. Frank Kaminsky, someone I haven't talked about yet, and I definitely want to talk about here. So we do already know that Aaron Baines is going to be out for this game against the Pelicans. And last game with Baines out, Frank Kaminsky did draw the start at center. He only played 23 minutes, but he was still able to put up 25 DraftKings points. That was a matchup against the Kings. I would say this is a much better matchup against the Suns or against the Pelicans. I mean, a matchup against the Kings isn't bad by any means, but I really like this like pace-up spot for the Suns, playing against a Pelicans team that we know plays extremely fast, does not play good defense at all. This sets up really well for Frank Kaminsky. He's a guy that can spread the floor. He can shoot threes. He can get shots up. 4,600, especially on DraftKings where he has power forward and center eligibility. I really like Frank Kaminsky today. I think he's one of the top value plays. He's very cheap on Yahoo as well. The only thing that sucks on Yahoo is that you have to play Frank Kaminsky at center. He was power forward eligible on the last slate he was in, which kind of sucks they switched him over to center. I mean, it's what they should have done, but now that you have him at center, that really limits like how much exposure you can get to him, but I still think he's a really good play, even at center only on Yahoo at $13. But other power forwards, there's not much else I like besides like CARMELO, who you could take a shot on for $3,900. Now, if Hassan Whiteside is out, Scalabrine would be one of the top value plays on the slate, especially on DraftKings where he's power forward and center eligible. I'm pretty sure Labissiere is only he's center eligible on Yahoo. He's cheap at $10, but there's some really good value plays on Yahoo at center. You have KAMINSKY at 13. You have Jackson Hayes at 13. I don't know, even if Whiteside is out, I don't think I'm going to be jamming in Scal on Yahoo, but on DraftKings, like I said, you can play him at power forward over here. I like him a ton at $3,600 if Whiteside is out. But let's go ahead and touch on some centers real quick. So you do have Whiteside at $6,500, who's firmly in play on this slate. I don't think he's going to be a core play for me by any means, especially because we have really good value at the center position. But Whiteside definitely would be a guy I would get exposure to. Now, looking at guys like priced around him, I mean, you have LONZO for like $1,500 cheaper. If LONZO plays, I would much rather go to him. Honestly, think I'd take Oubre and Bledsoe over Whiteside. Oubre's $200 more, Bledsoe's $300 more. I'd probably prefer to go to both of those guys. I like Jackson Hayes, who we're about to talk about, who's $1,400 less. So Whiteside's not going to be a core play for me, but obviously a guy I would get exposure to if I was playing multiple lineups. Jackson Hayes, though, is one guy I want to talk about. $5,100 on DraftKings. He has started the last few games with both Derek Favors and Jahlil Okafor ruled out. I imagine we don't know the status of Okafor as of now. He's questionable, but we do know that Derek Favors is going to be out. Even if Okafor plays, I wouldn't be surprised if they still start Jackson Hayes. I love the matchup against the Suns. Suns have never been that good of a defensive team. Frank Kaminsky is not a good defender by any means. Jackson Hayes is a guy that can give you a double-double if he plays the minutes, and in the games that he started, he's pretty much played at least mid-20s in minutes. In that game against Portland, he only played 21 minutes, which was kind of surprising, but he still put up 27 DraftKings points. He's a very productive player. I like Hayes a ton as a value center at $5,100 on DraftKings. He's one of the top values on Yahoo as well. He's still way too cheap at $13. Definitely a guy I'm going to be targeting. Now, if we do get news that Jahlil Okafor is going to play and Jahlil Okafor is going to start, I definitely want to pivot over to Okafor. I really want whatever guy starts at center, whether it's Okafor or Hayes. That's the guy I want to go to as a value. But other centers we'll talk about real quick. I mentioned Nicolo Melli. I'm not as interested in him on DraftKings at $4,500, especially because there's other guys you can consider in that price range, but he's still in play for me as a value play on Yahoo. Scal, I mentioned, would be a really good value if he starts for Whiteside. If Whiteside is out, that's news we're going to have to wait and see on. That is the 8 o'clock game, so we should have that news before that game starts. At least hope we would. Jahlil Okafor would be a good play. If he starts, he'd be the better play over Jackson Hayes. Like I said, I'd really just want whatever guy starts at center for the Pelicans. That's who I want to play between them. But I think that's it for center, guys. I think we pretty much covered center on DraftKings and Yahoo. So thank you guys so much for watching. I do greatly appreciate it. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. As always, make sure you drop a like down below before you get out of here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. Click that notification bell so that way you get notified every time I upload. You can also follow me on Twitter at DFS by Noah. I am very active over on Twitter. You can contact me over there. You can DM me if you need to get in touch with me. Link is down in the description. But good luck tonight, guys. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check out my Thursday Night Football video, or the video for the Thursday Night Football showdown slate. If you're planning on playing that, it's already up on my channel. But good luck tonight, guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.